Very good morning to all of you. Sincere gratitude to Professor V.D. Mohan Chandran, the Scientific Committee Chairperson of this conference, Dr. Ramakrishnan, Dr. Arun, and the entire team of organizers for giving me this great opportunity to speak about management of bipolar disorder, what's new. As we know, bipolar disorder is regarded as the bread and butter of psychiatry. It's a disorder with lifetime prevalence ranging from 0.5 to 1.7%, and bipolar spectrum disorders as prevalent as 6.4%. It produces a significantly high suicide rate, as high as 12% is the suicide rate of bipolar patients. There is comorbid substance use in 70% of persons, and the recurrence rate of this disorder is as high as 90%. 50% recurrence occurs within 1 year of the first episode, and median number of episodes during the lifetime of a bipolar disorder patient happens to be an average of 9. And it is regarded as the 6th leading cause of disability worldwide, and it is gradually climbing up the ladder. The biggest challenges in identification and management of bipolar disorder right now is proper diagnosis. Because we have seen a lot of cases in years where bipolar disorder cases were diagnosed as schizophrenia and treated with antipsychotics on a long-term basis. Nowadays we have got a misdiagnosis with bipolar disorders being diagnosed as major depressive disorder, unipolar depression. Because in 35 to 60% cases of bipolar disorder, depressive episodes develop first, and then only hypomanic or manic episodes develop later. So patients with bipolar disorder are symptomatic for almost 50% of their lifetime. This is a picture of the period for which bipolar patients are symptomatic. About 47% of their lifetime, bipolar patients are symptomatic. And when it comes to bipolar 2 patients, more than 50% of their lifetime they are symptomatic. Actually, about 50.3% of the time, bipolar 2 patients are suffering from depression. In 1.3% they are hypomanic, and in 2.3% of their lifetime they are suffering from mixed or cyclic episodes. And we all may admit that treating bipolar depression is probably the biggest challenge in the treatment of bipolar disorder also. So coming to the subtypes of bipolar disorder, an earlier classification which showed there is mixed mania, rapid cycling, bipolar 2 and secondary mania. It was reported by Akiscal way back in 2000. But when we travel through the history of bipolar disorders, we can see Dunner and Five had introduced the concept of bipolar 1 and bipolar 2. Bipolar 1 with mania and depression, bipolar 2 with hypomania and depression. Then came Gerard Clermant's classification into 6 different types, and in the new millennium, Hagood and Akiscal classified bipolar into further subdivisions again. So, just for any postgraduates or young psychiatrists who may be there in the crowd, the Clermant's classification: bipolar 1, depression and mania alternating; bipolar 2, depression alternating with hypomania; bipolar 3 is cyclothymia; bipolar 4 is mania or hypomania induced by antidepressants. Bipolar 5 is genetic bipolar, a strong family history of bipolar nature. And bipolar 6 is non-depressive mania, recurrent episodes of mania without any depressive. And the consensus beyond ICD and DSM, the classification proposed by Akiscal and co-workers, it now starts from bipolar half, in which schizobipolar is there. Bipolar 1 with mania, 1A with depression and hypomania, type 2 with depression with episodic hypomania, type 2A with cyclothymia, type 3 antidepressant-induced hypomania, type 3A depression and or hypomania induced by substance use, type 4 depression with hyperthymic temperament, or in layman's term we call it as the politician's temperament. Type 5 is recurrent depression and dysphoric hypomania, and type 6 is depression with dementia. Actually, right now we are involved in a work with the Sri Chitra Institute of Medical Sciences, in which we are analyzing geriatric depressive and manic episodes and evaluating what percentage of them develop into dementia in future. It's an ICMR project which has just started. It's an ambitious project which runs over a period of 20 years. So, some recent advances regarding the neurobiology of bipolar disorder. Bipolar disorder has so many parallels with autoimmune disorders and diabetes mellitus. Maybe because bipolar disorder is a multi-system ailment, and we see many persons with bipolar disorder developing a lot of physical illnesses, including metabolic complications in future. Not to mention psychiatric comorbidities, including substance use and so many other things. There is polygenic in inheritance. You cannot blame one single gene for bipolar disorder. So many genes have been implicated. So disruption in the glucocorticoid signaling has been identified to be a very important factor behind bipolar disorder. Immune inflammatory imbalance is another phenomenon which has come up recently in the neurobiology of bipolar disorder, and we have some studies in which inflammatory modulators, including some of the oxides, have been tried in bipolar disorder. Increase in oxidative stress is postulated to be another phenomena behind bipolar disorder. Abnormal tryptophan metabolism happens to be another one, and deranged phospholipid turnover with shift in one carbon cycle of methionine and homocysteine 6 appears to be some of the recent advances with regards to the neurobiology behind the genesis of bipolar disorder. So, what are the targets behind treatment of bipolar disorder? Because treating bipolar in a balanced way is a great challenge to any psychiatrist. So we have got neurotransmitters, dopamine, especially which is the target for most of the antipsychotics, serotonin, which is the target for most of the antidepressants, glutamate, which forms the target for most of the anticonvulsant mood stabilizers, intracellular signaling systems like inositol monophosphate, in which lithium and so many more stabilizers have got a role to play. GSK3, the neuroprotective effects of lithium primarily is based on that. Protein kinase C pathway, again lithium and valproate has got a role in that. Calcium channels also, lamotrigine particularly, we know it inhibits the voltage activated calcium channels. Neural mechanisms, especially the corticolimbic emotional control circuit, which have hyperactivation of amygdala and reduced anterior cingulate activity during mania, and reduced ventrolateral prefrontal cortex activity and hyperactivation of basal ganglia across the mood states. So we shall come to certain target interventions which specifically target these things, including some psychotherapeutic interventions which have come up very largely of late. So the sleep and circadian rhythm disorders, we often advise our bipolar disorder patients to have a proper sleep. And we know that sleep deprivation may be an important trigger for another episode, a relapse of bipolar disorder. So various psychosocial variables are also involved in the genesis or pathogenesis of bipolar disorder. So coming to antipsychotics which have been approved by FDA, starting from chlorpromazine, haloperidol, I have listed in this slide, risperidone, olanzapine, quetiapine, aripiprazole, ziprasidone, acinapine, to the latest introduction of durazepam. So many antipsychotics are there. Then we have got lithium, lamotrigine, carbamazepine, oxcarbazepine, divalproids, topiramate, so many mood stabilizers also. So coming to the efficacy of these drugs in manic episodes, the meta-analysis of 13 agents in 68 RCTs comprising of 16,073 patients showed that antipsychotics are better than lithium and anticonvulsants during acute mania, only during acute mania. Olanzapine, risperidone and haloperidol have got maximum efficacy in acute mania, but for the long-term treatment, lithium has got more robust effects. So this is a picture which shows the efficacy of various drugs in acute mania. So the green region towards the right side shows the better tolerated and most efficacious drugs, and the red towards the lower aspect shows the least tolerated and least efficacious. So you can see olanzapine happens to be the most well tolerated with reasonable efficacy. But if you take the efficacy alone, haloperidol has got maximum efficacy. So olanzapine, risperidone, quetiapine, these are the three agents apart from haloperidol which has been demonstrated to have maximum efficacy in case of acute mania. So coming down, the efficacy of gabapentin, topiramate and lamotrigine happens to be very low and even less than placebo. Gabapentin's efficacy in acute mania is less than that of placebo. So that is the efficacy of these various drugs in acute mania. Now coming to depression, acute depressive episodes in bipolar syndrome. SSRIs are effective, but they are less likely to induce mania compared to tricyclic antidepressants. So administering a tricyclic antidepressant in bipolar depression is almost suicidal because you are almost sure to induce mania. Inducing mania will ruin your reputation beyond repair because nobody recognizes depression as a mental illness. But the moment the patient is manic, they will start complaining after taking the medicine from this particular doctor. My brother has turned mad. So inducing mania is something we are very afraid of. So some studies have shown that there is no benefit in adding SSRIs like paroxetine and bupropion to mood stabilizers. It doesn't provide any additional benefit in bipolar depression. And recent meta-analysis has shown that antidepressants may not be per se effective in bipolar depression. So what are the other drugs which may be effective in bipolar depression? Lamotrigine is one drug for which a lot of controversial and conflicting evidence is coming out. In 2008, an RCT showed that it is categorically effective for bipolar depression. But later, the meta-analysis of 5 studies showed that there is a modest efficacy for lamotrigine, but it is not statistically significant. So summing up the evidence till date, we can only say that position of lamotrigine in the treatment of bipolar depression is uncertain within inverted commas. And many senior psychiatrists who have been using it for a long time say that lamotrigine is on its way out in the regime of treatment of bipolar depression. But its time will tell. So, the antipsychotics in the treatment of bipolar depression. Quetiapine is one drug which has been extensively investigated. There is more improvement than lithium, paroxetine, and placebo in acute bipolar depression. And it has a reduced chance of recurrence if quetiapine is continued even after the acute depressive episode resolves. So there are studies which have shown that quetiapine at a dose of 100 to 300 milligrams may be effective in the treatment of bipolar depression as a monotherapy event. Olanzapine, fluoxetine combination, that is another thing. Lot of synergistic action is there, and even in the metabolic profile also there is some level of balancing. Olanzapine which increases appetite and increases weight, and fluoxetine which decreases it to a certain extent, can balance even the metabolic adverse effect profile when they are used in combination. So olanzapine fluoxetine combination is better than olanzapine alone or placebo in the treatment of bipolar depression, and combination may be synergistic. The recent entry into the treatment of bipolar depression has been lurasidone. Introduced as an antipsychotic, later most of us may agree that the efficacy may be more for bipolar depression. Many of the psychiatrists I have spoken to are dissatisfied with the efficacy of lurasidone as an antipsychotic, especially in schizophrenia. So some evidence regarding the pharmacodynamics of lurasidone. There is a D2 antagonist with action on 5-HT2A and 5-HT7 receptors, alpha-2C and 2A adrenergic receptors, alpha-1 adrenergic receptor, partial agonism at 5-HT1A with little affinity for histaminergic and muscarinic receptors. It may explain the lack of weight gain and lack of sedation for the molecule, which makes it a better tolerated molecule compared to many other drugs, including quetiapine. So, comparing the D2 and 5-HT receptor antagonism of lurasidone compared to other antipsychotics, the D2 antagonism of lurasidone is equivalent to that of risperidone and olanzapine, more than that of clozapine, and less than that of typicals. While the 5-HT action is equivalent to that of clozapine, more than that of haloperidol, and less than that of risperidone and olanzapine. So it comes midway between typicals and atypicals to say in the summary of the efficacy. The mood stabilizer efficacy of lurasidone is thanks to the 5-HT1A partial agonist action and 5-HT7 antagonist action. It is metabolized by CYP3A4 system, which means it will have some interactions with some of the commonly used medications in clinical medicine. The dosage is 20 to 160. In depression, it is advocated to start at 20 milligram. As a person who has practiced using lurasidone for bipolar depression, one thing I have seen is I have started it at 40 milligrams for some people, and many of them have complained of a sudden reduction in appetite, which makes it intolerable. So when I have reduced it to 20 milligrams or started it at 20 milligrams as the initial dose, they were better tolerated, and the appetite suppression was not so significant. It reaches a steady state concentration in 7 days with an elimination half-life of 18 hours, peak concentration 1 to 3 hours, 9 to 19% of that administered dose is absorbed and is better absorbed with food. Since it is metabolized by CYP3A4, oxidative and alkylation is 1/3. There are 2 active metabolites which are named here and 2 inactive metabolites also. It is contraindicated with CYP3A4 in users like rifampicin, so it may not be a wonderful drug to use in tuberculosis and associated with behavioral problems. It is also contraindicated with CYP inhibitors like ketoconazole, and it is best avoided when it is combined with drugs which prolong QTC interval like cipracid or something which produces electrical disturbances. The common side effects, somnolence, cachexia, these 2 are the most common side effects. They are largely those somnolence becomes more obvious at high doses of 120 or above that. I have tried it till 160 milligrams in schizophrenia without very useful effect, but in bipolar depression it has given some good effects also. So orthostatic hypotension, hyperprolactinemia and somnolence happens to be the significant adverse effects, even though it is present only in around 5% of the people who use it. So some other dangerous adverse effects are named in literature: venous thromboembolism, NMS, tardive dyskinesia, agranulocytosis, etc. So the caution to be exercised by using lurasidone is in hepatic and renal impairment, those should be reduced, and there is no enough evidence in geriatric and child psychiatric cases. So what about maintenance treatment of bipolar disorder? Lithium is the gold standard. We have already seen that lithium is very efficacious in the maintenance treatment of manic patients who have developed manic episodes. Lithium will reduce mania relapse by 38% and depression relapse by 28%. And lithium is a drug which reduces the risk of suicide by as high as 50%. So in highly suicidal patients, we still tend to keep lithium. And balanced trial, the trial which compared lithium alone, valproate alone, and a combination of them, showed that lithium is better than valproate alone in the prevention of bipolar disorders, in preventing relapse of bipolar disorders. But the biggest problem with lithium happens to be the adverse effects and the low therapeutic index. We are all aware of the renal, thyroid, and pregnancy effects of lithium. One thing which we are not very aware of probably is the hyperparathyroidism, which is commonly seen in patients who are using lithium. So many of them may present with hypercalcemia, symptoms of hypercalcemia. So monitoring calcium levels is also another regular requirement in people who are on long-term lithium therapy. So coming to lamotrigine as a drug for maintenance, 36% reduction in the risk of relapse of bipolar disorders as per Rubin. And again, when we come to the combination of anticonvulsant and combination of multiple drugs in relapse prevention and bipolar, lithium valproate combination is better than monotherapy with valproate alone as per the balanced trial. And there are certain enrichment design studies. Enrichment design studies means the patient is put on a particular drug after a particular period, say 24 weeks or so. Either it is substituted with a placebo or it is substituted with another drug which has got similar therapeutic efficacy for that purpose. So quetiapine was started on certain patients, and after a period of 24 weeks, quetiapine was changed to lithium or placebo, and it was seen that relapse at 104 weeks and 2 years were low for patients who have continued on lithium or quetiapine itself than switching to placebo, which means in maintenance, maintaining on an active drug like quetiapine or lithium may prevent relapse than just by giving placebo. So pediatric bipolar disorder, this is one area which will be really confusing for all people who are into child psychiatry. So as a person who is practicing child psychiatry in Trivandrum, I had a 14-year-old girl. We had an interesting debate yesterday on the difference between criteria-based and clinical diagnosis. This 14-year-old girl satisfied all criteria for a borderline personality disorder with multiple affairs, repeated suicide attempts, emotional outbursts, inability to control anger, and so many other things. But unfortunately, she was only 14 years of age, and as per criteria, she cannot be diagnosed as a borderline personality disorder. So I had some psychotherapeutic sessions with her, but found that I was not able to produce any change, was referred to a clinical psychologist who expressed her helplessness after 4 or 5 sessions. So we put her on the low dose of risperidone, to which she responded wonderfully. So at 2 milligrams of risperidone, she was well behaved. For 9 months, she was going to school without creating any problems. But at 9 months, she developed an important adverse effect of risperidone. Her menstrual period started becoming irregular. We checked the prolactin was quite high. We started her on aripiprazole, and I was planning to cross-titrate by reducing risperidone and building a aripiprazole. So she was on 10 milligram aripiprazole and 1 milligram risperidone in the process of cross-titration. When during the last summer vacation, somebody from her father's office advised to take her to the premier institute in India. So she was taken to that institute, evaluated by the child psychiatric team, who diagnosed her with adjustment disorder and categorically told the parents that she does not need medicines at all. The medicines were stopped immediately, and now after 1 year, the parents are finding it very difficult to control her. She is now running around with so many people. She has filed a complaint with the Child Rights Commission of Kerala that her parents are preventing her from doing things independently. And now the parents are in real trouble because the girl is going out with one boy in the morning, another boy in the afternoon, and a third one in the evening, does not return in the evening. And again, as we are all aware, there is something called POCSO Act. She has already had sex with so many males. It was reported to the police. Now that has become a huge problem, and they are in the middle of a lot of mess right now. So that is how pediatric bipolar actually may confuse us in different ways. So lithium, carbamazepine, oxcarbazepine, divalproex, lamotrigine, and a whole lot of antipsychotics have got some evidence base in the treatment of pediatric bipolar. But there are certain research findings which indicate how a pediatric bipolar can be better managed. Because if a pediatric bipolar is well managed, the chance for relapse and recurrence and dysfunctional life towards the later stage can be reduced significantly. Some findings from the University of Illinois have shown that 4 important things has to be taken into consideration while treating a pediatric bipolar. Number 1 is prescription hygiene, which means a monotherapy at an optimum dose as much as possible, taking into account the various adverse effects which are possible at that age. Second is primary importance should be given to mood stabilization than anything else. Third is addressing breakthrough symptoms. Breakthrough symptoms can be residual symptoms, sleep deprivation. Since most of these adolescents are in a lot of behavioral addiction these days, they use a lot of mobile, internet, tablets, etc. Don't sleep properly at night, sleep during the daytime. Stress heat, lot of such factors have to be properly taken care of. And finally, problem solving. How to address difficult situations. Essentially, something called life skills education is very important in the management of pediatric bipolar. Again, another very important problem is the comorbidity of bipolar and obsessive compulsive disorder. So we have seen many of our patients coming with OCD. We have treated them with high dose of SSRIs, later switching to mania and becoming full-blown bipolar, and that becomes a very important problem. So 25% of patients with bipolar will have obsessive compulsive disorder. In untreated bipolar patients with OC symptoms, PET studies have shown that the serotonin transporter binding potential in the insular and dorsal cingulate cortex was higher than in those without OC symptoms. The common obsessive compulsive symptoms in adult bipolar patients with OC include sorting, controlling, checking, repeating, and washing. And in child and adolescent psychiatry with bipolar patients, the common obsessions are hoarding, impulsivity, and so on. So in a comorbidity between bipolar and OCD, the primary aim is to stabilize the mood. Lithium may be the best choice, quetiapine to some extent. Antipsychotics has shown some evidence in controlling OC symptoms in bipolar patients. And if you are very sure that it is a bipolar 2 with absolutely no manic episodes in history, SSRIs will be tried. That is what the APA guidelines say. The common objectives regarding psychosocial interventions in bipolar: improve the ability to identify and intervene, educating regarding warning signs. Number 1, increase the acceptability of the patient to the illness by giving a convenient, understandable explanatory model, which may be neurobiological model. enhancing adherence with hunter genes, enhancing ability to cope with environmental stressors, stabilize sleep-wake rhythms, re-engage with the society, enhance communication and family relationship, and reduce drug and alcohol misuse. A summary of the evidence regarding psychological treatments. So step 8 has shown that intensive treatment like functional family therapy, interpersonal social rhythms therapy, CBT may be better than brief psychoeducation therapy in recovery of bipolar patients. So family-focused approaches, multi-family group approaches, CBT has shown some significant evidence. I'm rushing through because of lot of time. And again, interpersonal social rhythms therapy, which focus on maintaining social rhythm, including sleep, wake cycle, and interpersonal communication. That has also shown to be effective. Group psychoeducation, again, has got an important role in preventing the recurrence of relapse of bipolar. Individual psychoeducation also has a role in prevention of relapse. Systematic care management is a Western concept in which a nurse takes care of the patient, takes it as a case under the supervision, supervises, phone calls the patient, checks regarding whether the patient is currently taking medicines. That has also shown some evidence. So for child bipolar disorder or adolescent bipolar disorder, there is some evidence for the multi-family psychoeducation group which was introduced by Nair first time, with 8 90-minute group sessions concurrently, simultaneously for the parents as well as the patients. And the adolescents are supposed to learn a toolbox of coping skills in 4 areas: creativity, physical exercise, social interactions, and relaxation. They are taught how to manage their emotions, to improve the communication, to control their impulses, and to engage in family approaches. Again, individual family psychoeducation for adolescent bipolar, again, 24 sessions with 50-minute period. 4 sessions exclusively devoted to crisis management and teaching healthy habits. So some studies regarding some of the recent advances in psychotherapy. There's an exclusive session on mindfulness. Mindfulness is non-judgmental awareness and acceptance of the present moment after detaching yourself from all your past experiences, emotions, and events. Whole lot of physical improvement in mindfulness. I am engaged with training mindfulness to a group of patients with diabetes mellitus. So the evidence regarding mindfulness is primarily for mindfulness-based cognitive therapy, which includes some of the techniques of mindfulness along with CBT also. It has shown that it has got an impact in depression, unipolar depression, as well as in bipolar depression. It has an important role in preventing relapse. So once the patient is treated and symptom-free, training him in FPCT may help in preventing relapse. So again, relapse prevention in unipolar and bipolar. Some evidence regarding the impact on brain is also there. Mindfulness training can alter amygdala activation, decrease emotional reactivity by altering the amygdala circuits. It can alter the cortical midline structure activation. It can increase insular activation. It will shift the neural process from cortical midline structures to insular. It activates lateral prefrontal cortex and produces emotional override. Again, another one psychotherapy which has some emerging evidence is acceptance and commitment therapy. It is a kind of therapy which says that language is the reason for human suffering. A small incident in your life is magnified by the use of your language. You say that that incident is the worst thing to happen to you, and that qualification of that incident is clear. 3 basic reasons for psychopathology as per Arun. Psychological inability to change your thoughts. Cognitive fusion, you think that everything you think may translate into action. And experiential avoidance, because you think that something may be unpleasant, you try something. These are the 3 pathological things. And go about the therapy of ACT, which we have been doing in our patients now. There are 6 different steps. Acceptance of the reality, fusion between thought and action, evaluating oneself and the context in which one is behaving, contact the present moment, values and attraction. My last slide, self-management in bipolar disorder happens to be a very important thing to be educated, right from psychoeducation to lifestyle education is very important. And finally, a word about the future directions. I am not mentioning any of these for want of time. Hope Dr. Rajmohan will throw a lot of light in this next session regarding most of these drugs because they are essentially antipsychotics. And something regarding the new stimulatory methods and even some novel interventions like Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you very much, Arun, for a very wonderful, very comprehensive description of what is there in the future for PPAD management. I'm sure there's still a lot of questions. We need to start first. I will start with one first question to him. One of the days when we were talking about news services, and then the year came that we would now like to consider and if you most of the still less. That being the case, moving the idea to give the contract. Is that an antibiotic? What is the reason? So there was times when people said one stabilizer and two stabilizers, you don't work, simply one, and then you take the profile to optimize the medical condition you have to hold them. So I have to do that. So what is the second? There are also lots of individuals that are coming up especially in terms of people do think that after get away with all this, people don't have to make it.